I have to do it the same way though.
Right.
You know, I just
So they just don't like they.
he just goes with like just whatever, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's
They just sit
cool.
down in a room pretty much with their
Just talk,
their
yeah.
headphones on and talk.
Yeah, I don't even think I don't know if he wears headphones sometimes, I know.
Because I saw that the one guy that was in that video was wearing headphones.
Was he?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I guess it's just like subconscious. I don't even pay attention to it or
For
something.
sure.
But like, yeah, he's actually. Have you watched him before?
Joe Rogan?
Mhm.
Only a couple times, but I really do like him. And I watched his comedy shows on Netflix.
Yeah,
and
he's
those,
pretty good.
I really enjoyed those
Yeah,
for sure.
he also like commentates the UFC. You watch UFC
okay.
at all?
I don't really watch UFC, but
Yeah, he's like really well educated in that like department. He was like a professional, or I guess he was a professional
he seems
fighter.
so well educated in so many
Oh, yeah.
departments at this point.
Yeah, he's such an intellectual guy.
Right.
There's a fly in here that I
I
can't
know it's
get
been
out.
in here since.
But yeah, he actually has like the #1 podcast in the world. I'm pretty
Really?
Sure. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's impressive. for
Yeah,
sure.
I listen to it all the time. It's
I'll
awesome.
have to listen to it more often
Yeah.
because there's times where I'm like, I would love to listen to a podcast right now, but I don't really know what I want to listen to. And
Yeah.
I definitely could throw on some Joe Rogan and enjoy that.
Yeah, my top 3, Joe Rogan's like #1, and then H3H3 is probably my #2. It's a good one. And then, is your phone on silent? Just might as well ask while we're... Okay, yeah, I mean, that's fine. Mine's on vibrate too. But yeah, him, H3H3 are like
What's
my main two.
H3H3?
It's this dude, Ethan Klein, and his wife, Gila Klein.
Okay.
But they have guests on. Like, they've had, like, Post Malone on and,
Oh, okay.
like, all kinds of people. They're a lot goofier than Joe Rogan,
Mhm.
but it's still, like, a good show.
For sure.
And then I actually watched, like, Impulsive, which is a little embarrassing, but...
What is it?
Impulsive.
I don't know what that is either.
Do you know, you heard of Logan Paul?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I'm going to talk about Logan Paul on, like, every podcast episode. So I
Oh,
think
no.
that's
Have
been
you
the-
done that so far? My friend Cole, he was like, he loved Logan Paul. So
Who?
don't. My friend Cole, he was like one of my roommates.
Yeah.
He loved YouTubers. Always told me he was going to make a video. I always was trying to get him like, dude, all right, just start making one. Like, I'll be in it. He never would believe that I would do it. So
You were telling him to make a YouTube video and that you would be in it?
Yeah, like I was
Yeah.
like, I'll be in it in the background or whatever with you.
Yeah.
And he never
He just
never
didn't
did it.
get the
He didn't have
The
he
drive
really
to
didn't
do
have
it or
like
whatever.
the knowledge behind what it takes.
Okay.
Like he like really like wanted to do it, but he didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't like
just didn't know where to start.
equipment like
Yeah.
all that. He didn't really.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like some people want to get like all the best equipment, but there's a lot of creators who just use like the bare minimum. You know, you can buy
Right.
like a Canon Rebel camera. It's like a little DSLR,
Uh-huh.
so it might be $300 or $400, but it's one of the cheaper like prosumer cameras, and that's what I had in college. But I mean, even like David Dobrik, he's one of the most famous vloggers and YouTubers right now. And
Okay.
he uses that camera too, which is
Wow.
pretty awesome. Like
For sure.
his stuff's really like homemade looking, you know, but
But
it's more about like the people in it and the stories that they tell and the experiences they have. So-
Right, and like homemade looking is like a style that he adopted pretty much. Then
Yeah, I think that's
you
why
know.
people like it.
Right, and if you stick with it, like I think sticking with a style as like a business or as a person, can be good. Like
For
especially
sure.
on like a social media site.
Yeah. You went to UC for entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I went to UC for entrepreneurship.
Okay.
So I actually just got my diploma in the mail yesterday.
Really? How long ago
Pretty
did you
excited.
graduate?
Well, I walked in after the spring, but I had one more class that I somehow missed. I didn't take, so I took that over the summer.
Mhm.
So I finished up like
What class was that?
just a couple months ago. It was business capstone, and it was interesting. We had to do like this whole simulation. That was like a business simulation. That was a lot of work, but
yeah.
but luckily, I mean, I got through it. It wasn't bad, and we like finished up a month earlier than the other classes.
Mhm.
Even finished up for the semester, so I was done super early and
Mhm.
and have been enjoying being done with school.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's really a relief off your shoulders, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, like I've been out of school now for how long? It's been like 6 or 7 years, I guess. It's
Okay.
just kind of crazy
For
to think
sure.
about, but like yeah, when I was done, I was like excited to be done with it. But
Right.
looking back on it, I'm like I kind of miss it.
Did you go straight into like a job when you
well,
got out of
so
school?
No, when I got out of college, I moved home. I was going to Florida,
Oh, okay.
or school in Florida, and then I moved back to Cincinnati, and I moved in with a group of friends in Northside in this like absolute shithole of a house.
For
It was
sure.
like after we moved out, it got foreclosed and like
Wow.
it was awful, dude.
Okay, so
There was
real
like
bad,
it was
yeah.
really bad, and like um I lasted there for a couple months, and then I was like, I can't do this anymore because
Right.
like they wouldn't clean or anything, and it was just disgusting. And then yeah, I moved back with my parents for a little bit, and then I ended up moving to Athens, Ohio, like at OU,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
I was living with my friend down there.
Like
And
on campus type area.
yeah,
like-
basically like kind of where like the townhouses are, I guess.
Okay.
So I guess that's campus, but
For sure.
but that was just me like playing music a bunch and drinking all the time.
For sure.
So that's like all I did. I didn't work. I was just wasting money. And then I was like, okay, well, my friend from college hit me up and he's like, we were talking a lot and he's trying to convince me to move out to California.
Uh-huh.
And so it actually got serious and we ended up moving to California. And so I lived there for like 3 or 4 months. Again, I was just like working out all the time and playing music, and that's kind of all I was doing
For sure.
for the most part. And
Right.
so that didn't go great either.
Right.
I went out there with the intention of like I'm gonna get into the film industry or get into
Okay.
photography or be a musician or something, but I was really into like I just didn't have my head on my shoulders, right? I guess like
Right.
to be focused enough to make it work for myself. So I ended up moving home, and then once I got home, I was like out of money, and I was just like, I
I
need
gotta
to,
do something.
yeah. So I picked up a job at the Western Hills like Racket Club, which is like a tennis club.
Okay.
Freaking fly. And so I was just working at the gym there, which was awful. And then,
Right.
but I had a lot of downtime to just think, and that got kind of like it helped me figure out a little bit more what I wanted to do with my life.
For sure.
And I already knew that I wanted to start like a clothing brand when I was in California. That was like where that kind of inception was.
Uh-huh.
So I had bought like a starter kit for printing, but it wasn't enough. So I thought a lot about that, and then I was like, how do I get more into like clothing stuff? And so I got a job at this place called T-Shirt City Apparel, which
Okay.
is one of my wholesale vendors. I was just there yesterday. I go there
Nice.
all the time.
That's sweet.
That's where I get like all the wholesale garments. But
Okay.
but I worked there as a picker, which is like probably like $8 an hour job. You know, it was
Mhm.
awful. It was one of the most miserable jobs I've ever had. And then
But you weren't doing it for the, you were doing it for the connection almost, like
Yeah.
to learn about, like,
Exactly.
the industry.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because when I went there, I remember when I was applying and getting hired, I was talking to her name was Vera, and I was talking to her about how I wanted to work somewhere with an automatic press, and because I was like really like, oh, automatic presses are sweet, I need to get one.
Uh-huh.
And so I asked her like if she knew an inn anywhere, and they actually owned another company called Wear Magic, which was a really big printing company, and they were down the street. I'd never heard of them before, but I worked at T-Shirt City for like 3 months, quit there, and then I went to work at Wear Magic, and it's funny because I put my 2 weeks in, and like I didn't do the 2 weeks at T-Shirt City, so like she kind of like told them when I applied to Wear Magic that like I don't know about him, and I also hated the job so bad that like I wasn't really, my productivity was low, but then I got to Wear Magic and I was already screen printing. Like at that point I was already doing my own business on a really, really small scale.
Right.
And so I already had some experience as a printer. So they were like, okay, he already knows how to print. Like, so that was like a good plus for them to hire me.
For sure, they didn't have to train you.
Yeah.
Much, for sure.
Yeah, there was a little training involved, and
Definitely.
it definitely took me to like the next level as a printer.
I
But
bet you learned a lot from that. Like
Yeah.
that, just like of how the professional process goes,
it
like-
was, I mean, that is like as legit as it gets as a printing company goes. Like we printed for Apple, Samsung, US
Wow.
Bank, Progressive, the biggest companies in the world. They had multi-million-dollar contracts with these companies every year. They'd spend, like $4 million with them, or it was like a
Yeah, that's
$25 million
unreal.
company.
For sure.
So they had it was a huge operation, super efficient. And so just being around that was like really, really inspiring and motivational. And it also just, I think it taught me a lot about work ethic and just like quality control and stuff like that.
Right.
So when I applied there, I was like specifically trying to learn how to print on an auto because I was thinking about taking out a $100,000 loan to buy an automatic and get a shop. And this was probably 3 years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
And so I was like pretty determined to get that auto. And then, I was like, maybe I should like learn to print on one before I just take $100,000 loan out,
Right.
and then so I went there and they like trained me on it, and I was like, this is pretty easy to do. Like I picked it up pretty easily. And then like my business was growing. I started teaching at Ohio Media School as a part-time videography and editing instructor.
Okay.
And then, anyway, I was working that plus weddings, plus teaching, plus my business from home and freelancing. So I was just busy as hell all the time.
Right.
And then eventually I was like, okay, I'm just going to like do my thing and just like, cause I knew like I was making $12 an hour there. And I was like, if I can I think I was making about $800 every 2 weeks. And then every now and then I'd get an order for screen printing where, one order maybe is like $1,600, and I'd make that in like a couple of days or something. I was like, I just needed to like believe in myself enough that I could do it.
Right.
So eventually I got the courage to just go for it, and I just like didn't look back. But I knew that I always had my foot in the door there. If I ever like failed, I could go back there and work, and I'd be okay.
And the connections, you kept the connections there, so like
yeah,
not like you were planning on a plan B, but you had one.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. It's like I don't like that's my last resort, and I don't. It's not even an option for me, basically. Like
Right.
I hated working there too. It's awful. Like I mean, I loved the people that I worked with, and I still keep in touch with them, and like a lot of them are interested in working for me. Like if I get my business big enough, like they've told me that they'll work for me.
That's
gladly.
cool.
But like, and even like some of the higher ups too, like this one guy, Jesse, he was like the top dog there aside from like the owner, and he and I talk frequently, and he gives me like business advice and sends
That's
me
awesome.
like we're supposed to meet soon, and he's going to help me get like a business plan for embroidery and give me a bunch of contract leads and stuff like that. He's got like a bunch of information. So
Very cool.
I'm pretty excited about that, but I'm also trying to like not rush it and make sure that I'm like ready for bigger customers.
Right.
I don't want to like jump the gun and then fail, and then like the connection is severed or whatever,
Yeah, definitely. When the opportunity presents itself, you gotta be ready for it.
Yeah.
That's part of like, a lot of people will be wishing for, or like will wish for opportunity, and like they aren't even ready for it.
Yeah.
So like you definitely have to make sure you got that all prepared.
Yeah. I'm gonna move the mic real quick.
Okay. Yeah, you're good. Okay.
But yeah, have you ever heard the expression like luck is when preparation meets opportunity?
I have not, but
I love that.
that's
that
definitely
saying.
cool for sure.
People say, like somebody gets lucky, and they just chalk it up as like, oh, he got lucky or she got lucky. But I spent a lot of time watching YouTube videos of like successful people, or I have in the past at least, and I like try to get inspired by them and stuff. And I've come across people saying that a number of times where, these are people who like dedicate their lives to like a craft or learning about something, and so they are constantly trying to prepare themselves for an opportunity, and then the opportunity finally comes along, and if they hadn't been preparing themselves for that, then it would just pass them. But if you prepare and then the opportunity comes, then you're like lucky, So
Right.
I like that expression a lot. It's one of my favorites
For sure, that is a cool expression.
But yeah, tell me about yourself. I feel like you're interviewing me.
Right. Yeah. So, well, I guess we didn't even really introduce ourselves. Well, I'm Oliver Schwartz. I just recently graduated, which I just told you guys, from the University of Cincinnati with an entrepreneurship degree. I still live in the Cincinnati area. I really enjoy Cincinnati and all that it has to offer. It's brought me some great opportunities, and also I'm from Dayton, so always been in Ohio all my life. I do enjoy traveling a little bit. I get out there when I can. I've never actually been to California. I wanted to mention that to you earlier, which I need to get out to, like cool. LA or even other places in California, like San Diego,
even if you live
or
like
something.
Right outside of LA, it's basically LA.
For sure.
I lived in Sherman Oaks, which is right outside. There's like Van Nuys and Sherman Oaks and Studio City and like all these little like I guess they're cities or towns or I don't know, municipalities or whatever, but they're surrounding LA, and then you can just hop on the 405 right down to Hollywood Boulevard. So yeah, it's a cool place, man. It's kind of crazy, but it's it's pretty exciting too.
Yeah, so on that note, I was recently listening to one of my actually one of the frequent podcasts I listen to. This guy named DQ Donnie Quillen. He is a Dayton local, but he was talking about how like a lot of people think they have to move out to a big city
Mm-hmm.
to get that
Make it.
opportunity or
Yeah.
whatever. Do you feel like that helped you at all? And do you feel like that expenses were a lot more that it made it very difficult to?
Okay. So it's way more expensive out there for sure, but
Uh-huh.
also like you get paid more in general
Okay,
because
for
the
sure.
cost of living is higher.
Right.
It's just like New York, like you might make 100,000. Like my friend from New York just came into town a month or two ago. He works for Panavision as a technocrane operator. He's one of like 3 in New York, so he works for like the biggest movies ever, and
I
like and
bet.
commercials and music videos. And I got friends like that from college, all over the country and in different parts of the world too. And anyway, he was just in New York or in Cincinnati shooting a movie recently, and we got together, and he was just one of the things he mentioned was that he might make 100,000 in a year, but that's not that much for someone in New York because the cost of living's higher. Like if you smoke cigarettes, I used to smoke cigarettes, but like I don't anymore. But they're literally like twice as expensive as they are here.
For sure.
And food is more, rent is more, so it seems
It's
like
all
you're
pretty
making more
relative.
money, but you're kind of making the same. It's just like inflated almost. But yeah, with California, it's kind of the same thing as far as that goes. So you're probably going to make a better living, but you're also going to pay more to live. So,
Right.
and as far as my experience goes, like I said, I didn't have my head in the right place.
Right.
So this is just me speaking from my experience because I have friends who are still in LA right now. I've got a lot of friends out there, a good amount, who are killing it. And, like I had one friend who was doing set decoration when I was out there. This was 5 years ago. So, but he was out there at the time, and he was doing set decoration for all these different cool sets and movies and stuff. He did like a Foot Locker commercial with like Snoop Dogg and like Sean Malto, and Sean Malto is like a really famous pro skateboarder.
Okay.
But so there's a lot of opportunity out there. It's very saturated.
Uh-huh.
So by that I mean there's a lot more competition, but there's also a lot more opportunity, and it's easier to network because almost everybody out there is like chasing some sort of like dream,
Right.
So it's a lot different than here. But I definitely wouldn't say you have to go to a place like LA or New York to make it
Definitely.
at all. I definitely wouldn't say that, but it doesn't, it kind of depends on who you are. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like, if that's your thing and you have your head in the right place and you're really ambitious and like driven and you talk to the right people and you're like actively looking for opportunities, that's another thing. You have to like always be looking for opportunities, and when they come your way, you got to like jump on them. Because I had some opportunities while I was out there, but I wasn't like hungry enough or whatever. Like I just let them pass me by. Like I was like above it or something. It's kind of
Right.
like didn't have the right attitude. But I because of that, I wasn't getting work, and then I wasn't making money, and I was like, okay, well, I'm running out of money. I gotta go home. So it didn't work out for me, but even that experience was great. Like even me like going out there and failing was really worthwhile because I learned a lot from it. So, it's definitely not. If people, I've met a number of people who say they want to go out to California, and I always say like, it's a cool experience, like whether
Right.
or not you make it work for yourself. So
Definitely. I'll need to visit, but I don't plan on living out there anytime soon.
yeah,
For
yeah.
sure.
I mean, I also think California's a little overrated. And I mean, there's like all the cool things about it, and just like anything, everything has its pros and its cons. So
Right.
like, it's kind of overrated, and it's very saturated. And the worst thing I think out of everything is that the traffic is like so bad. Like
Oh, I bet.
anywhere that you would take to get like 20 minutes here, it would be like an hour.
Yeah,
in
for sure.
California.
That time adds up too.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah,
Your day can be sit in the car.
Yeah, and everybody drives like maniacs. Like you have to be super aggressive when you're driving, like cutting people off constantly. People are always honking at you, yelling at you and shit. It's like pretty intense. If you at least in like LA, you know what I
Right,
mean? Like if
right.
you're on the outskirts in like residential neighborhoods, I'm sure it's not that bad. I had friends who lived in areas like that, and we looked at some places, but only online. So I never actually like went out to like the chiller part of California very
Right.
often. I did go to Santa Monica like once or twice, and a couple other places, but I also didn't really make the most of it while I was out there either. Like I could have gone to the beach more, or like just kind of experienced like the whole LA lifestyle a little bit better.
Definitely.
But I was kind of like vagrant at the time, so
For sure.
just drifting.
I understand.
But does that answer your question?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Let's see. I mean, you want to talk about me more? You have any questions you want to ask me?
Yeah. So like, why'd you get into design?
Okay, so like I'm not so in a sense of like getting into design, just decided like that I had all these things that I thought I could create, and my goal was like to show the world that I was like had the ability to turn an idea into a physical product, or make something happen, and like just show the world that I could do that. And I thought that if I kept putting this content out there, and that something was eventually gonna hit, or it takes time for things to build. So I just wanted to, because I wasn't really sure what I wanted at the time. I was just like, I know that I like have a drive to create, and I'd like to like show the world what I can do. Let me make some things happen with, if I had some capital, because I resold shoes throughout my years in college, which was another experience in itself, like just doing that over a lot of time. But that's what kind of got me into the fashion world, and like I fell in love with like this world of fashion and art, and like dove deeper than just like the surface of reselling some shoes. And that kind of drove like the cut and sew creation. Like I used to like take stuff to my mom, and was like, Mom, can you sew this for me? Like I have this idea, I want this to happen. Like and then I got tired of like having to drive to Dayton to take her something, or like having to wait on her to do it, even though she does great work, and it happens pretty fast. Like so I got a sewing machine for Christmas last December, so that was a huge step for me. And then like from there, like I just kept creating, and like started posting stuff in a specific style on my Instagram, and just started using Instagram as that tool to try to get myself out there, for starters. Now I've developed like into a brand where I have my name, Run the Midwest, and like as a brand I want to express the Midwest vibe. The Midwest, like people from the Midwest normally have a pretty good reputation of like being nice or happy people, more easygoing, more easy to talk to. So I just really want to like express that, but also like I want to have like the fashion culture of like places like Chicago and New York to still be present, in Detroit even to like still be present, because and like Cincinnati's fashion world is building, and so I want to be a part of that build, and like developing a cool sense of streetwear fashion for like college students, kids in the streets, adults that want to be relaxed in their enjoyable wear, and just like be a voice for them, and just create from whatever my mind sees as looking good, and with what I value.
So do you have how long have you been like established as a business?
So like I officially was established as an LLC only on August 17th.
This year?
Yeah, this year.
This past year?
Yeah, like this.
Or sorry, August.
Like,
I was thinking October.
No, this past August.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, it was super exciting. Like I went through the whole process, of getting the LLC, getting the EIN, getting the business bank account, doing all that,
Brings back memories.
For sure.
Dude, it's fun. I loved it. Like I remember when I got my LLC, I was ecstatic. When I got my EIN, I was ecstatic.
Right.
Everything. All those little steps, it's like milestones,
They are, and they're like, when you look back, you're like, oh, that was really simple. Like,
yeah,
to
get it. But it's like you gotta make yourself do it, and then once you do, you're just like.
One thing that kind of frustrates me is that there's all this like.
Keep talking. I'm just gonna check, make sure this is recording.
For sure. There's all this. There's all these like businesses that's like pretty much just scam you and take the same information that
For getting
you
that
would
kind of
need
stuff?
for an EIN, and they
Yeah.
just like make you pay $200
Yeah.
to fill out the form that
Yeah.
you already filled out for them, and that's like frustrating
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
because that deters people from doing things.
Because they make
Probably
it more expensive.
it's
and they
more
can't afford to get
expensive. They
started.
think they can't afford it because they don't know that you can just go directly to the EIN or to the IRS website to like file those papers.
Do you want to explain, like, just for people watching who might be interested in starting their own businesses? Like, I love talking about entrepreneurship on my channel, and
You want a coaster?
well, I actually have one over there if you want to grab it. But yeah, I have people ask me pretty often too. Like, I had a student from Ohio Media School. This table's kind of it's all
okay,
good. Don't
for
worry.
sure.
I appreciate it though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a student from Ohio Media School who I helped get an LLC and like helped guide him in that direction. And he started like a clothing line brand of his own that he's doing, and he'll be on the podcast at some point. And I print for him.
Very cool.
And a couple other people like that too. So yeah, I've had like a number of people ask me, like, actually just my friend John, who I was just with last night, he just got his LLC, and I've known him since I started my business, basically. Actually, since high school, I knew, like, we were always going up to the skate park and stuff, so I knew him from that, but we weren't like hanging out or anything. But yeah, since then we've been like working together on and off for years, and now he's like starting his own thing, and so he's always asking me questions about, like, how to get an LLC, how to get your EIN, setting up a PayPal business account and stuff like that. So it's always exciting to talk to people like that, I think, for me, because it brings back memories. But for the channel, it's also cool because if somebody's watching and they want to do something, and I think it can be inspirational and also educational and teach them like how to do that for themselves. So.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, I graduated with a degree in entrepreneurship, and I still had questions when I was like performing this. Just about some of the like wording in the paperwork can be a little confusing, or like things like that. But that like I had a guy actually that I asked like to make sure I had everything right, because I was almost ready to pay like $150 to do something, and he's like, no, like you can do it for free. Just go to the IRS website.
Free?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Or well. There might be a little fee at the end, like a.
I think my brother-in-law is like an attorney,
Oh, okay.
so I was just like, hey, I want, like, my parents recommended I ask him. I was gonna do it by myself, but I was like, yeah, I probably should. So I like emailed him, and he kind of like set it up for me, basically. But yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I think. I think for the LLC, there's definitely a little fee. I can't remember exactly how much it is, but for the EIN, it's free.
Really?
You just file it through the IRS's website.
Yeah, I think I did that one without his help.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then from there, I mean, I do run my website. Gets run through PayPal, which I'm not sure how I feel about PayPal at the moment. I think it's a okay platform, but I think that's something.
That's just where you do all your financial transactions.
Like that's where. So yeah, if it's not like a in-person transaction, if they're going through my website, it's linked just to PayPal right now, so they can use a credit card or a debit card or their PayPal account.
Yeah. You got the swipe thing too?
I do also. I grabbed that swipe thing, which was funny. I posted that on my Instagram story as well. Those are free as well.
I just gave mine to John like
Nice.
a couple weeks ago because I'd never have used it.
For sure. I used it for the first time at that convention that I was at this weekend for the sneaker show.
Yeah.
But a lot of people also, I posted that on my Instagram story, and people didn't know. They're like, where did you get that? Like, how'd you get that? How much was it?
It's like you just call them and be like, hey, can I get one?
Yeah, and then you just download the PayPal Here app, and then like you click need a new one, they'll mail that to you for free.
Yeah, it's probably, I didn't end up, I had them mail me one. I also have like 2 Square readers that I've never used, but like, don't you just put it in your phone and download the app? And
yeah, the PayPal one actually connected to Bluetooth for me, so it just connected to the app through Bluetooth, and then like swipe or chip read, both of them. I only ended up using it once at Sneaker Freaks just because most people were paying in cash.
Is that's a trade show for like shoes?
Yeah. So it's like it's located in Columbus. I think that's the only place they do it. They might do it at one other place, or they're trying to do it at least another place. But it's like been at least 3 years going in Columbus. It's like mostly sneaker reselling, some small brands, some like artists. That was probably like, I think they said they had 200 plus vendors. Didn't really look like they had 200 plus, but
was Jake there?
Jake was there. Yeah, he actually helped me out and got and asked the guys to have a table right next to him. So that was pretty cool because I had to watch his table at times as well.
Mm-hmm.
But they went and a couple other good friends I know went. But it's a great it's a great thing for meeting people and networking. But it is a lot of like people just like checking prices online of what the shoe could go for right now, and like instead of like just buying shoes they want, which can be annoying.
They have their own companies and they're there to basically like shop for their stock and
Yeah, pretty much. So they'll just be people and they'll like have the phone in one hand, like with StockX up. I don't know if you've ever heard of StockX. It's like a marketplace that where you can like resell like sneakers, like all like dead stock, which means like new, sneakers, clothes. Like you can sell like some lightly used like Louis Vuitton bags and like other bags. You can sell watches, like Rolexes on there. And it like keeps the data to where like you can see if its value has increased over time, if it's decreased over time, and like people will bring that up and they'll be like, there's a bid right there. There's like a highest bid, and there's the lowest ask. When those meet, then there's a sale. So people will just like be like, oh well, the highest bid's this. They'll see what their payout could be after fees, and they'll be like, I'll offer you this. And it's like, well, you can't, buy it for that.
I feel like somebody's going to watch this and be like, you just gave them all the information to start their own thing. So that'd be cool, man.
That's hilarious. Hopefully. That's true. I like kind of like sourcing. You got to know which products are hitting though, like, and which products are going to increase. Yeah. And that's just like
when
all
to buy
like
them, when to sell.
When to buy them. Yeah. It's like all just time being in learning, educating. Like, for sure. If I had a $50K, I'm sure I could buy enough shoes to wear, or buy the right shoes to wear in a year or two. It would double,
Yeah, like you spend $50K on like some rare shoes.
Yeah, like even if it's like like not for retail.
Yeah.
Like the Travis Scott ones I just released recently. They the retail's $175. Right after that, they were selling for $800 to $900.
Wow.
So I bought a huge markup. I bought a pair at $800, size 10, my size. Right now that pair is at like $1,550.
Damn. So you spent $800 on them?
I spent $800 on them.
So that person made like $700 on you, and then you could sell them now for like $800. Profit.
Right. Like I can almost double my money, and I'm waiting until they get even up higher. To like 2, because there are sizes that are already above 2. My size just isn't above 2 yet.
Okay, so like size
matters as well. Like right now, like
that's what they say.
For some reason, like probably like 5 probably like 5 years ago, like people wanted the big sizes because it was like Jordans for like bigger men, but now it's like the small sizes are the more expensive. Oh, really? Yeah.
So like in this case, small is better.
Yeah. In this case, small is more valuable. I don't know about better, but more valuable.
More accurate, yeah.
For sure.
Right on. That's interesting, man. Yeah, I was telling you when this is only our second time meeting, but I was telling you the last time we met that I got like all my equipment when I moved back to Cincinnati from a guy who has like a sneaker company. He wants to come on, but he lives in Atlanta or something. So it's like, I don't know how we're gonna arrange.
So what kind of sneaker company is it?
It is. Sorry. This is the process of like me improving the podcast as I go.
Battery died.
Yeah, I guess so. But so what's the name of the company though?
Yeah. What do they do as a sneaker? What do you mean when you say sneaker company?
He sells. I mean, he has his own like clothing line too.
Okay.
He also like, I think he really started because of like the sneaker culture. Like I was just talking to him the other day. It was our first time talking in like, I don't know, like a couple of years probably. So like we hadn't talked in like years, but we had kind of like back and forth messaged each other and played phone tag for like over a year.
Right.
Like for real, like he would call me sometimes. I'd miss it. I'd call him. And that went on for I'd say probably a year or two. But like I've always wanted to print for him because he's got a pretty successful brand. It's called Soul by Style. or no, sorry, Sole Individual. I get them confused because
Okay, I
they both
gotcha.
have the Sole Individual is his
Okay, I think
brand.
you showed me,
Soul
or
by
I looked it
Style
up for you.
is our friend Jake's brand. Hopefully
Right.
Jake will be on the podcast at some point. But yeah, he's got like probably 120,000 followers on Instagram, and I'm sure his Facebook's pretty big too. And I just spent like an hour on the phone with him talking about all kinds of stuff, but he was explaining to me like affiliate marketing. He said he was making like 80 grand a month at one point, which is insane.
That is insane.
And he said like 50 to 80 a month. And then but like we talked about a lot of stuff because it was a long conversation. It should have been recorded because it was pretty interesting, I think. But he was just talking about how he started, and like when he started his Instagram, he was just a sneakerhead, so he like loved shoes and that culture, basically the stuff that you and Jake are into.
Right.
And so he made an Instagram page that wasn't even necessarily like just him reposting his own stuff. It was just like he said people would go there to his page as like a resource for like what's going on in that
So it's like release dates and like things
new
like
drops
that
are coming
for sure,
and stuff that just released, and
or like predictions for something.
Yeah.
And how it'll
It's kinda
if
like a
it'll
news
sell out
source.
fast or for sure.
and I guess like he said as that grew in popularity, because he was like he himself was just super passionate about it, so he already was on top of like all that. He knew it. It wasn't like he had to like learn it. He just it was his thing.
Right.
So he developed that, and it grew like a decent little following, and then he started to sprinkle in like his shirt drops, like Soul Individual t-shirt drop,
Right.
and his designs are really cool too, so that helps. And then like he had people buying his shirts, and then he would also be in like the resale game of the sneakers too.
Right. So he was making money on both sides.
Yeah.
So that was nice.
And then I guess ultimately he said he got into affiliate marketing, where he had like people would pay him for clicks, and he had like fucking 10 different, he had multiple Instagrams and Twitters, and they were all programmed to repost each other. So he had like maybe 10 different Instagrams and Twitters that all had like significant followings, and they would repost each other's posts. So there'd be like, a new post every couple hours, and they would all promote each other's things. And people were kind of like, I still don't fully understand it, but kind of like people were paying him for clicks.
Interesting.
And so ultimately he told me that he actually got like banned or something, because he said he got greedy, and that like once he started making like 80,000 a month, he was like more and more and more. He just wanted to make
Good
like
Lord.
more than that, and
That's enough for me. I'll
yeah, I'd
take
be
that.
like, dude, I'm chill.
If anyone's
like,
trying to give me
I don't
80K a
need to
month,
be, like,
I'll be
yeah.
relaxed.
Fuck yeah, dude. I would be more than happy. And so like he said that eventually he and his like buddy that I guess he was working on it with him, they ended up getting some sort of like software that like robotically like did something that increased their click rate, which is what they were getting paid for. He said most people today don't pay for clicks, they pay for I guess transactions, so it's more like affiliate marketing. But
Okay.
yeah, he said they started using this software that was like, I guess the people like didn't like that he was doing that. They wanted it to be organic.
Right.
And he said he was organically doing it, and he was still making phenomenal money, but then he just got greedy and tried to like automate it, and then they found out or something, and everybody like backed out on him. But he's still doing well. I mean, he said like last month, I talked to him last month. He said the month before that he sold 300 shirts, and the month before that he sold 500.
Definitely, those are some numbers still.
Yeah, I mean, we went through all the numbers. He said he sells shirts for $35 a piece, and it costs him 15, so he's making $20 a shirt. So he's making good money just with that. Plus, he's still reselling sneakers, and I don't know if he does like brand deals or anything, but yeah, I really want to have him on the show. So,
Yeah, that'd be sick.
yeah, he's an interesting guy.
Where's he located right now?
I think Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
Maybe Philly. I forget.
I want to go down to Atlanta. I really want to see
Atlanta's cool. I've
the
been there.
Coca-Cola Museum. I've never been there, but I want to go to the Coca-Cola Museum. And then there's another like museum there that's like a huge car and motorcycle museum. I think it's like one of the biggest motorcycle museums in the country.
Yeah.
Just like stacks of like motorcycles in
Really?
these cases. Yeah, I'll have to show you a picture
Dude,
at some
I
point.
kind of want to get a motorcycle. I was recently thinking about getting one.
I own a Honda Ruckus, which is like a scooter.
Oh, really?
If you know what that is.
No.
So like they're like it's like a little scooter. It gets up to like 40, 45, but it's got a really cool style. Mine's a '07, but it
Kind of
looks
like
like
a moped, or
yeah, it's like a, I don't know. You don't have to pedal, so it's not a moped. It's
oh, do
just
mopeds you have to pedal?
yeah,
Oh,
mopeds
really?
like technically like a moped is like a thing that you start with pedaling
And then it has gas
and
or
then it has
something?
gas, yeah.
Okay.
Which I do like we used to ride one at my grandma's, like she had
Yeah.
a field, and I still have it. It's in parts. I want to restore it.
Yeah, I had a friend who had one of those.
But yeah, it's like actually like a scooter, I'd say. But they like are released in Japan in like 2003, and then like for like 4 years or so, or like 3 years maybe, they were just in Japan, and then Honda brought them over to the U.S. But like people take the scooter and they like stretch the back end, so where it's like and like make like a real big fat tire in the back, so it's like almost like a lowered car, like a chopper, like.
Yeah.
And like they also swap the engines to where they can go up to like 70, 75.
Really?
So like I want to do something with that eventually.
Yeah.
So
That'd be cool. Is it like they? Whenever I think of that, like I think of they're kind of like those little vehicles in Grand Theft Auto, like that you can steal like people's little. They're not the
I don't know if
motorcycles.
I know which.
They have like little. They're slower than the motorcycles, but they're like two-wheeled scooters. And
Okay.
I think I know what you're talking
I'll
about.
have to show you a
friend
picture.
Anthony had one too in college.
Okay.
Yeah.
They got like round headlights on the front, like 2 round headlights.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. No, I think that's what he had.
I enjoy it. I really like riding it around town, especially here in Cincy.
Yeah, dude, they're cool. They're fun. I remember I cruised on it with him one time. It's pretty gay, but like, it's fun.
Yeah, you can't put 2 people on my scooter, honestly. It'd be like super hard to turn.
His probably wasn't made for 2 people either. He was a big dude too. He probably weighed like 300 pounds. Like,
Good Lord.
he was a big man.
Yes.
But yeah, it was pretty awkward, but it was kind of funny. So
Yeah, you bet you. Yeah.
but yeah, man, sneakers are cool. I hope I can get Rico on here someday. He wants to do like a phone podcast.
That'd be
like
solid.
Video chat. It'd be
For sure.
Yeah, I think it'd be so much better to have him like in person though.
Definitely.
But yeah.
You gotta like make sacrifices for the
Yeah.
product sometimes.
Figure out a way to get him out here, or maybe I can go to him and bring the setup or something.
That'd be cool.
I want to get like a Sprinter van and like rehab it so that you can live in it, and then like every month maybe or something go for like a week and drive somewhere cool. And
For sure.
I was thinking even I could like do a mobile podcast with it and bring everything, and then just like, have you ever heard of van life?
Van
Pretty
life?
into
No,
it.
I don't think so.
It's like a niche on YouTube. I had somebody on the 3rd episode who's doing it actually like for real. He bought like a Mercedes Sprinter van, which he got for like 17 grand. Those vans are really expensive, but he gutted like the whole thing, and then he's insulating it. He's cutting like windows in it, putting a shower in it, and a toilet, and like a bed, and
Wow.
he's gonna live in it for 2 years straight, like no home or anything, just him and his girlfriend in his van for 2 years, which I think is so cool.
That is cool. And is he gonna be like videotaping?
Yeah, he's got a decent following on Instagram, and he was talking about like starting a YouTube channel and doing that, which there's actually a girl on YouTube who just like exploded. She's got like 2 million subs now in like a month. She's only posted like 4 videos.
Wow.
She's gorgeous, so that helps.
Right.
Like she doesn't seem like the type of person who would do that, which I think is part of the intrigue, which is why she blew up like that. And she's a good storyteller, so she's getting, like quality videos out. But yeah, that's what she does. She just lives in a van.
Okay.
And it's freaking awesome. Like
That
I
is
want to
cool.
do that. Obviously I'm not gonna like live in my van because I own a house and I have a business, but like I want to kind of do something in between where I get like a van and rehab it, and then just use it to travel and take time off work, and
For sure.
go and then bring the podcast maybe and like interview some people I meet along the way, or intentionally go to interview somebody or something.
Right, definitely. My dad right now, he's actually restoring a 1972 Winnebago like a camper.
Really?
I don't know if you've ever seen those at all.
I'm sure I've seen them before, but I'd have to see a picture maybe to know for sure like the specific one.
Definitely, but
yeah, I think I just passed a Winnebago on the highway because me and the guys that I'm in this band with, we've been talking about getting a Winnebago.
Oh,
to
really?
like travel and tour and
For
stuff.
sure.
I don't know if we'll ever get to that point, but it's fun to think about.
Right.
Hopefully we will.
Yeah, my dad would be pumped to hear that. He actually
they're
just
cool.
bought a whole building in Dayton. That like it's huge solely because he has this big project, and for future projects it actually has a car lift in it already. Like,
So wait, he bought a building to work on it?
yeah,
with?
so like our house, like my parents' home was like he had the Winnebago frame and a truck frame that he was thinking about about putting the Winnebago top onto the truck frame instead of the Winnebago frame.
Yeah.
He's a mechanical engineer, so he
Yeah.
was, getting into that. And so like, yeah, we just like, you can't work on a Winnebago with ceilings that aren't very high. So like our garage wasn't really ideal. So he has been looking for like at least a year, maybe 2 years, and finally found a building that's a huge building, and
Yeah.
he's gonna be doing the Winnebago project there, and then from there, I mean, me and him will probably do some projects like maybe old Volkswagen Beetle, something like that, and he wants to get like a group of guys that show up every like Tuesday, Thursday maybe, and just like work on a project together. So
Yeah.
cool.
It's
gonna be pretty cool. I'm excited to see what he does with the space, because
maybe he can come on the podcast too and talk about.
Oh, my dad would probably love to be on a podcast.
Dude, I'll have him on.
He's a
That'd be
funny
cool.
guy. I think he'd enjoy that.
That'd be awesome. So is he trying to do that for like, just like personal use of the vehicles, or is he trying to like have people who want stuff done bring it to him, and then like, or maybe a bit of both?
So yeah, kind of a little bit of both, but for the start, he definitely just wants to do it as like personal vehicles, and then he also, when like he was talking about having the guys like come and work, like he was talking about trying to have a group of people that know what they're doing working on vehicles, and they could buy a car together as a unit and do the work, and then sell it as a unit, and
so
like split the
like
profits.
percentages.
But that's like if if they're out of projects
Yeah, so
of
it's
their
like
own.
West Coast choppers or whatever.
Yeah, maybe eventually some of the sort.
Rider,
Right.
except for like Winnebagos and Beetles.
Right, Winnebagos and whatever else comes through the door.
Yeah.
But he's working on getting all his like tools. It takes a lot to start a
sure.
garage like that, for sure. So
yeah, you got to get like lifts and stuff, right?
yeah, so he has one car lift that's already installed in there.
Those are probably a couple grand at least.
Oh yeah, I don't know. It was included like in the whole
Dude,
package.
I actually looked at a house before I bought this one. It was on Bridgetown Road, which is close to here. Do you know where Oak Hills High School is?
No, I don't think so.
It doesn't matter, I guess, but it's right across from that. But the house wasn't that great. It was a pretty small house, and it was on the market for like $300,000, which is a lot. So, but it had two giant garages in the back. Both of them had car lifts in it, because the guy who owned it was like, I guess he had his own auto shop.
Oh, okay.
And so, but then he also had like at home, that was just his personal thing.
Right. Yeah. You gotta have your personal collection.
Yeah. So he had like these two giant garages, which I was hyped on. I was like, damn, that's pretty awesome. Like, I could have one garage for my printing business, one could be for embroidery, or I could do one that's like a sound stage, and I could make it like put an infinity wall in it and do like photo shoots and music videos and like shoot. You could build little sets and stuff.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
make, like, short films or something.
So that's kind of funny. My dad also is into photography. Like, I played hockey all my life. He always used to shoot our sports, and my sisters play volleyball, so he always used to like shoot sports photography. But he like also wants to like knock out the ceiling in one part of like the office area and put hopefully like a photography studio into a side of his building. So it's kind of like similar. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing something like that here. Like, there was a point in time where before we started renovating, or like in the beginning, I was talking about that room upstairs, maybe putting like a cyclorama infinity wall. You know what that is? It's like,
I don't think so, but I'm picturing just like
sure
it's
like a cornerless three.
Yeah.
Like, it goes like.
Yeah, for sure. Like a corner. Yeah, I gotcha.
But yeah, I want to have one of those one day. Those are pretty sweet.
That would be really cool.
There's a couple places around here that have like big ones, like Midwest Grip and Lighting and Ohio HD, and then there's this little photography studio in Northside that's like really cool. It's got a really, really nice kitchen, because they do like food photography, and then they have like a really big infinity wall as well. And yeah, I was there one time because like the guys that I lived with when I moved home from college or from California, or was it? I get shit confused. From college, they were in a band, and they did like a photo shoot there because the lead singer's girlfriend worked there. But it was pretty cool to go there and like see a really nice studio like that.
Right.
So I want to have something like that maybe one day. This is kind of like my makeshift studio for
Yeah,
now.
it's not. It's nice if you ask me. I think.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Appreciate it. Yeah. But yeah, we should have your dad on sometime.
Yeah, he would enjoy that. He's a character. My parents just got back from Switzerland. They were.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they spent 10 days in Switzerland and Austria with my like grandma. Cause like my youngest sister, she just moved out, so now they're empty nesters. So now they.
She did what?
She just moved out. So my youngest sister.
Okay.
So my parents are now like empty nesters.
Okay.
So they took a little trip with my grandma, and
Right on.
I'm excited to see them getting out there.
Yeah.
Now that they have all this free time,
Yeah,
or like
they
no
got-
one to take care of.
Right. Are they
No-
retired?
No, they're not retired. So my dad works at a new place. He was a self-contracted engineer for a little bit.
Mhm.
But now he works at a new place, and I'm not exactly sure of the name. But my mom works as the volunteer manager at Hospice of Dayton.
Okay.
So she just like manages all the volunteers that
Mhm.
make that place function,
Mhm.
and it's a lot of people she has to manage.
Yeah. So the people who work there are all volunteers?
So like the nurses and stuff aren't like volunteers, but like anyone, like they have people making blankets, they have events that they put on that people volunteer for.
Yeah.
They have like my dad volunteers, and he just goes and talks to a patient for like an hour,
Mhm.
and just like has a conversation, and like
Have you done that before?
I have not done that.
Mhm.
I haven't. That would be a very cool experience.
Yeah,
I
I'm
would
sure
actually.
that would be pretty profound, I guess. in some
Yeah,
ways.
definitely. I would like to do that, but there's times when my dad's gone. He's come home. He's like, "Yeah, I should have gone on a different time because they were sleeping the whole time."
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, but
there's probably that too.
but you could probably get some really cool stories, and
Yeah.
like those people that like there's probably people that are over 90 years old, and
Yeah.
that's some time.
Yeah. The old people have a lot to talk about if they are like.
If you can get
carrying
into
an
talk
upsuit or
about it,
whatever,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, my grandma's in a nursing home, and I was just talking to her. She's like 98 maybe.
Wow,
Something, or
that's
92. I don't know.
no,
My other
there's a
grandma
big
was
difference
98.
between 92 and
Yeah,
98.
my
but-
dad's mom was 98, I think.
Okay.
But she passed away, but she made it to 98, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah, that is incredible.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So, do you want to like promote? You want to plug anything like that you're working on? Got Instagram. You got.
Right. I mean, I got at Run the Midwest is my brand. I'm gonna be coming at you guys with a lot of new T-shirts soon, or not really T-shirts. The season's more coming where it's gonna be crew necks and sweatshirts and some jeans, and I'm gonna keep the original pieces coming.
If anybody wants to buy anything from him, you can probably hit him up on Instagram, right?
Yeah, for sure. Just hit me up on Instagram, or
if you
also
want to leave a comment. If I don't know, like we'll see how much traction the podcasts get.
for sure.
I'm sure
Also,
they'll get it.
I do have a
leave comment.
website, runthemidwest.com. And then also like, if you guys do get a chance to check out my Instagram, just like scroll through it, because like every piece is unique for real, and every piece deserves a look compared to just like checking out the top.
Yeah, I was on your Instagram. It's pretty cool. I
Thank
like
you.
the layout. It looks good.
For sure. Shout out my girlfriend Kaylin. She does all the editing of the photos to put them on the
Yeah.
white backgrounds.
Yeah, on the what background?
Like she puts them on a white background or like a transparent background, but
Yeah.
she started doing that for me, and then she ended up getting an internship to do it for the whole summer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
for
then
an internship for like to do it for you?
No,
or?
for a company called Avico. It was like on small automotive parts like screws and stuff. Like,
Okay,
to like redo their whole catalog was her internship.
that's cool.
Yeah, it was cool. It got boring for her, so
I'm sure,
like
yeah.
just editing photos all day,
Screws.
taking
Yeah.
pictures. Yeah.
Can't be
But
this
so like she
exciting.
got really good at that, and that was like really cool how that lined up. How like I had kind of had her edit it, because I like started editing them because I had tried and was like I would prefer if you do this,
Yeah, for sure.
and she got the internship.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like doing a lot of like free work and stuff like that, or just like getting your feet wet with certain things, can ultimately it'll lead to you getting like able to do it professionally.
Definitely.
I mean, I did a ton of free film work for people for years, and then now I get paid like pretty good for different jobs.
Definitely. I agree.
You asked me earlier if I got this house for cheap.
Uh-huh.
What do you think I got it for?
Dang. I was trying to think about that, and I am not really sure. Let me think. I would say 220,000, but that's probably, I feel like, on the low side. But
You
you
think
could
it'd
have
be
got
more
us.
than that?
Yeah, I think it could be, but you
Like
probably.
what, like 250?
But I don't know what it really looked like before you know.
That makes me so happy that you said that.
Yeah, good. Well,
I
there's
feel like I
tons
saved
of
a lot of
space
money,
here.
dude.
You definitely did. Cause like I don't know. I mean, already it looks amazing.
Dude, well,
Like
for one thing, we've put a lot of money into it.
I figured,
so,
like yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I didn't know what it look. I don't really know what it looks like when you
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
But right now it looks.
I mean,
pretty-
when I got it, it was like livable, I guess. Like, kind of. I mean, it looked not great, but I didn't have to do everything I've done to it.
Right.
So the money I've put into it definitely wasn't like 100% needed to do, but I just was like, I want it to be this way. And so I just decided to go for it. But
I understand.
yeah, so you think like 220?
Yeah.
All right. I got it for 120.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah, man.
What?
But I think
Yeah, maybe I do need your realtor.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
This place is
I
sick.
also-
I
I also-
don't even, need to buy a house right now, but wow.
Yeah, I mean, my old house, in hindsight, dude, like, I lived at my uncle's house. He rented it to me for 4 years.
Okay.
And it was a nice house. He didn't really improve it much. He was kind of just as it is, and he did very little to it, but it was in fine shape.
Right.
In a decent neighborhood. And, never mind. I was going to say there's only shootings every now and then. But dude, it's crazy, though. When I moved here, there was actually a shooting across the street. Like,
Really?
Yeah, I had a friend over here who saw it happen. He watched it. He was in the bathroom, that little window in the spare bathroom, washing his hands, and he called me. He's like, dude, like, I was just like taking a piss and like washing my hands, and like I just was like across the street, like this dude pulled up, and he said he thinks it was like a drug deal gone wrong or something, but he said this dude was just banging on this guy's door. The dude came out with a pistol, like shot it and shit. It's kind of crazy. There's been cops there a few times, so hopefully that stops happening.
For sure.
But no, it's not a bad neighborhood though. Like, generally speaking, I think like shit like that kind of happens, and I mean, even in like my old neighborhood, there was like, I guess like a couple shootings here and there, but it wasn't really. I don't know. That shit happens in like Clifton and
Yeah,
Northside
definitely.
and
Like
everywhere,
it's not specific to the area.
Yeah, but sometimes it does make me feel like if you overthink it. But anyway, like when I was living at my uncle's house, he offered to sell it to me for like 60 grand, I think.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure he said 60. And in hindsight, dude, I should have bought that because he, like, when I moved out, he wanted me to move. Like, he told me initially I had like another 2 years to live there. I was like, sweet, I'm very comfortable. I'm making good money out of my basement. Everything's set up perfectly. Like, he rented it to me for really low, so you're fine. The rent was really cheap, and so I was able to save a lot of money.
Right.
It was a nice neighborhood, and like we were comfortable there. But then he, asked me about like looking into getting a house. So I started looking into it, and then it was like, oh well, I want to sell it this year. So like, you got like 2 months or something. It's like, oh damn. So I was kind of like rushed out, but as soon as I moved out and I bought this house, he sold it like a month or two later for I think 80 or 90,000. So in hindsight, I lived there for 4 years. So I paid rent for 4 years.
Oh yeah.
If I bought it, I would have just been paying a mortgage. Eventually, I would have owned it for like, probably roughly maybe a little less than the amount I spent in rent. But then on top of that, I would have sold it when I left for like $20,000 or $30,000 profit. So
Yeah.
I really considered buying it too. Like a lot of people do rent to buy as well. Like that's a thing, if you don't know about that, where you can talk to a landlord if they're interested in selling a property where you can rent to buy. Mm-hmm. So you're paying, a portion goes towards rent, a portion goes towards owning. But I thought about doing that. I didn't do any of it. Ultimately, I just rented. But I mean, would have been a smart decision.
Yeah, that definitely would have been a power move.
Yeah.
I'm 22 right now, and I have like one of my long-term goals is like to own 2 properties, like before the age of 25. So it's a pretty hefty goal.
Yeah.
But I definitely like want to, even if it's like a small rental property or like something like that. Like, I definitely want to get into that market.
Yeah, I've heard people. I have my friend who I did the music shop documentary about. He's like in his 50s,
Okay.
and he's multimillionaire, very successful. He's dealt with the most famous musicians in the world. Like his shop's right next to Bogart's, which is historic for those of you watching. It's a
Yeah, for
historic
sure.
venue in Cincinnati, and he's dealt with like Bob Dylan, Paul McCartney,
Wow.
Rihanna. You know, like all these crazy huge artists. He deals like the rarest guitars, you know, in the world.
That's super cool.
And but he was just telling me about being a landlord and how much it sucks. And
Yeah.
I've met a number of other people who said like, you don't want to be a landlord, it sucks. And so that kind of deterred me a little bit from wanting to do that. But I thought about that a lot too. Like this place, I could have rented out to like 5 or 6 people. You know, if I wasn't using the office, that's a room. I got the 2 rooms upstairs, then the master room, then the 3rd floor, you know, so you could rent out like 5 or 6 people,
Right.
$500 a person or something. You're making like three grand a month.
Yeah,
something.
that's
So
that's
money,
awesome.
But I don't know. I kind of want to just like live in it.
For sure.
I might one day I might move and keep it for business and then rent the house itself or something.
Yeah, that could work. I did want to mention something else actually, like kind of like a little shout out, but my sister, I know you have like are in a band.
Mm-hmm.
My sister also makes music, so when she turned 18, she moved down to Nashville.
Cool.
She was just like, fuck it,
That's awesome.
like I'm going. Like my parents were, like we had like one cousin that lived down there, but that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And so now she's like 2 years older than me. We have the same birthday as well, which is crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
What's your birthday?
July 17th.
Okay.
But she's 2 years older than me, and she sings with a guy named Cole Vosbury. They're called The Lovers. And like she just travels and sings. Like that's all they do really.
Awesome.
Like
Is it country music or?
it's kind of like country, but like almost like soul music a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I'll let you.
Like mainstream country. It's
Yeah, not mainstream
bluegrass or
country at all.
something.
Yeah, like more like a bluegrass feel for sure. Like a small
folk or
town
something,
feel.
maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she only has one song on Spotify, and it has 500,000 listens.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
but
great.
I keep telling her to get more out. So she tells me she's gonna release an album soon. So
Where did she record it? Did she do it herself? Or?
I'm not sure. I think they want to do all of it themselves, and that's why it's taking them so long to get this next album out.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure where they recorded that last song. She works. Her boyfriend is who she sings with nowadays, and he got 4th or 5th on The Voice like
Dude, cool.
a couple years
I've thought
ago.
about going on The Voice before, just like fuck it, why not?
Right.
Give it a shot. Or like American Idol. I had a friend who he lives really close. He's in like a self-made audio engineer. And when I bought this house, we were planning on starting another business as a recording studio. He'd be the lead engineer. We already like worked out like our split and everything. And,
Right.
you know, like I know for a fact I could find so many musicians. Like I got leads on, like there's this website I know about. It's not like top secret. I'm sure a lot of other people know it, but like just not gonna name drop it in case someone wants to steal my idea. But like I don't know. I'm still like considering doing that. I kind of just wanted to start a studio because I want to put out my own music and like collab with people on music.
Right.
But I mean, it would be a cool way to make money too, to like record other people.
For sure.
And this website's got like hundreds of local musicians in their contact info. So like I could just reach out to everybody,
Right.
and offer them rates and deals and shit, you know. And he's a great engineer too. But yeah, he went on American Idol as well.
Nice.
So I thought about it.
Definitely.
It'd be interesting. Or I've even thought it'd be funny to just go there and like intentionally be awful. You know? Just bomb. Maybe get some airtime.
Get through the first round and then just intentionally be awful.
Yeah, or just to have a terrible audition to where they just put you in that terrible audition episode.
Right.
But yeah, I have another friend. I think he's coming on next week. He's in a local band called Mother Folk, and I asked him why they chose that name. He's like, he said it just because it sounded like motherfuck. I was like,
that was my
profound.
first guess when he said that.
But it's like folk music kind of. So
Okay.
but they're killing it too. They get like 500,000 streams a month, and their songs are pretty freaking. I like their music a lot. I have to check your sister's stuff out.
Yeah, I'll play it for you after.
It's
this,
just
for
one
sure.
song she has.
One song
Just
she
a
has on
single?
Spotify. Yeah.
That's cool though.
Very cool.
Does she tours with her music and stuff too?
Yeah, so she like her and Cole, they just take the van everywhere and
Oh, really?
Yeah, they like play like, you know, they'll play a backyard show, they'll play
Yeah.
at a local
Dude,
coffee
that's awesome.
shop, wherever, you know,
Mhm.
wherever they're getting paid to play.
Yeah.
They'll play. They played at the Woodward Theater before
Nice.
in OTR
Yeah, that's a nice venue.
for sure.
I met actually the owner of the Woodward Theater before the Woodward Theater opened.
Really?
He owns Motor. You know Motor?
Okay, yeah.
I was at Motor one day, and this was like at the beginning of me starting my business. So like, I'm still like this, but especially at that time, I was a sponge, like wide-eyed, just soaking up knowledge. You know, like I went to a couple of screen printing trade shows. I would talk to like CEOs of different companies and shit all the time. Like, and whenever I got that opportunity, whenever I found it, like I mentioned earlier about California and stuff, like
Right.
when you find that opportunity, like you got to be like looking for opportunities, you know, because when you find it, then you can capitalize on it. So anyway, I was at Motor, and we were sitting out there by the fire in the back, and my friend, he was my roommate at the time, he just knew, like, for some reason he knew that was the owner of Motor. He's like, dude, that's the owner of Motor. And he was just chilling by the fire, so I just started talking to him, and but yeah, he was just telling me all about how he got started with Motor. And he actually, because I wanted to start a venue, I was like, I want to start a music venue where I can like print for the venue and print for the bands coming through, and
Right.
make special events, and then that would be my way of like fucking weaseling my way into like A-list musicians.
Right.
You know, because I wanted so badly to like be associated with like my favorite musicians. So I was like, if I start a venue, like I can start booking B-list local stuff. And then the dude from Motor basically said there's like 2 organizations that are like manage every musician that you ever would want to book. And he's like, it's basically like minor leagues and major leagues baseball. And you start in the minors and you book like the little acts, and you try to like gain some notoriety or whatever, and eventually you can book like the high level people. And I even looked into getting like the liquor license. I talked to that guy at the music shop. He has a shop in Covington that used to be a movie theater. That would be a sick venue. And he tried to sell it to me for like 150 grand or something, but I had like no money, so it was just like a joke. But yeah, and that dude told me about the Motor owner, told me about Score, which I told you about the last time we were talking.
Definitely.
Which, I mean, I think you should definitely look into it. It's a really good nonprofit organization that just mentors people for business. It's not like you need it to be successful with business, but it definitely helped me. And the guy who owns Motor and Woodward Theater helped him, you know, and John, just the guy that my friend I was with yesterday, like he's just scheduled for Score again. And I always recommend it to people because I still use it, you know, I've been using it for like 5 years, and it's free mentorship from like fucking multi-millionaire businessmen, you know what I mean? So
Definitely.
they know a lot. So it's good free help. And they have no, like, they're like, by their agreement, they're not allowed to benefit from your business. Like they're not allowed to buy a percentage of it or like make money off you or anything. So it's just, they're just giving you advice just to like give back to their community because they were successful. So it's a cool organization to be a part of and like kind of bring your business ideas to life.
Definitely. I am going to check that out and probably schedule one at some point here soon. Do you normally go in there like with like specific questions?
Yeah, in the past, I used to go once a week when I
Okay.
first started, and then like I went recently before I bought my forehead embroidery machine, and that was my first time going in over a year.
Okay.
Since before I bought this house,
Right.
and the time I went before that was when I was looking into buying a house, and I was like, should I buy a house, you know? And then they're like, yeah, fucking do it, like, you know, go for it. And they, you know, they pushed me to like get my website made and get a house, and they're always like, they're really pushing you, and they ask you like hard questions too. Like they don't like sugarcoat things and make you feel good all the time. Like,
Right.
they'll ask you like real questions about like why you think shit's gonna work, and they'll like challenge you on it. And so sometimes like I would leave with like my tail between my legs and feel like I got like, you know,
Torn apart.
Yeah, but other times, and even because of those times, I felt like that made me like a better business person, and it kind of made my mind more oriented towards that. But sorry, what you said, like how often you go? My bad.
No, I asked if you had just prepared questions, and I mean that kind of.
Yeah, I used to do that. I would get a notebook. So like initially, I think I just went
Right.
And then I tried to be like more professional about it. So I got like a binder and I'd write stuff.
Yeah,
down,
because I was
take
just like
notes.
trying to think about when if I went, like what all I would want to be asking, and
Yeah.
it was just kind of
I think they would probably appreciate and respect people who come in there and
a little more prepared.
Yeah, because I mean they've told me that I'm probably like they have a lot of people who go there that aren't that like legit. So I mean they get all kinds of people. Like they have people who have like legitimate businesses. They have people who are aspiring that never figure it out or whatever, and everybody in between. So.
Right.
Yeah, but I think the more seriously you take it, the more you're gonna get out of it.
Definitely.
You know, like I had John went years ago and he stopped going, and then like my friend Corey wanted to start a clothing line years ago, and I think he went once, and he's like, that's not for me. But I mean, to each their own. It's not like you have to go. But I just think, at least for me personally, the way I thought about it was that like, if I go into it thinking like they're telling me things I don't want to hear, or it's not just if you have to kind of open your mind to like benefiting from it.
Yeah, you have to really be able to take some criticism.
For sure. Yeah. And then like
and that's a skill in itself.
And not take it too personally and just like, really listen to what people have to say, especially people who have the criteria to like value their opinions about it, you know what I mean? Because they all have different backgrounds too. Like you get designated one mentor and he's like your guy. Okay. Like my guy's like Rick, and Rick Johnson, Johnston, but he's like my dude, and also I'll hit him up if I need to go and like schedule something, and he might ask me what I want to talk about beforehand, or maybe he'll just schedule it. Like is Wednesday at 3 cool? It's always like an hour meeting.
Okay. And
then like I'll go and I'll talk to him, and then at the end of the meeting they'll be like, is there do you want to have a follow-up meeting? It's up to you. You could say, yeah, let's do one a month from now, or let's do one next week. And at the beginning I was just trying to grow as fast as I could and learn as much as I could, so I was just like, let's do one every week, like, and then every week we'd meet, and I eventually started making a list of things I wanted to do, because I was just obsessed, like constantly, like I need to get a website, I need to do this, I need to do that. So I'd itemize like a list and prioritize it and try to get help with that. And they also like, they don't just help you, like they'll help you with the business plan, but I mean, they got me into UC's like law program.
For sure.
Where their law students made me documents, and they got me a job as an editor at an ad agency in Newport on the Levee, and I helped that dude like build his studio from moving it from his basement to like a real studio in the Levee, and like that was a really good experience. I learned a ton there, and so like they try to put you in touch with relevant people too. Like at one point I was talking about wedding business, and another point I was talking about how I wanted to make movies and shit, and like so they put me in touch with this this woman, Sunho Lee Donovan, and she's like a local producer, I think. So okay. I didn't end up working with her, but they have like resources where they can put you in touch with and recommend you, and
and their recommendation like counts for something.
Yeah, too, so. For sure, because these are guys who are like retired and established and successful. So it's definitely worth a shot,
For sure.
I highly recommend it. Anything else? Or you want to wrap it up here?
I'm probably down to wrap it up if you are. I don't know how long we've been running for.
Yeah, we've been going for a while. I think that was a good. I don't even know how long.
What's that say? Hour 13.
3:45. So.
We started at probably like 2:30.
2:30. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, that's solid for me. I gotta do a photo shoot with one of my buddies at like 4:15 anyway, so it's perfect.
For your brand?
Yeah, it's actually for the plug walk shirts that you just printed. I'm about to release them on my Instagram and my website because like I haven't like showed them other than the event I was at. So
Is he's like modeling them or something?
Yeah, he bought one and then he's gonna model them as well, just for the time being.
You do the photography or?
It depends on the time. Right now my like girlfriend or I does it. It's her camera. I don't have my own at the moment, but I really would like to partner up with some local photographers soon and do like some shoots that are like photographed by so and so. Like
I'm actually like. I think I'm gonna start my brand. Like before I even started my company, like the reason I got into printing was like I want to start a clothing brand. And then I was just watching a YouTube video this morning of this guy. He's got his channel called The Print Life, which is like actually doing very well for like the screen print community on YouTube.
Right.
And he he was just saying that like he was just saying that like if you want to be in a brand owner, and you want to be like a clothing designer, you shouldn't like do manufacturing yourself, because he's like, this is just his 2 cents. I mean, it's not, to each their own, but like he was just saying that you shouldn't do manufacturing yourself, because once you get into it, you become a printer. Like for most people that he knew, he said most of the people he knew, they usually get into printing because they want to start their own brand, and then they end up being a printer.
Right.
And that's basically what's happened to me. So it kind of spoke to me. But when I started, I was like, I want to be able to do everything in house so I can bring my margins low as possible so I can make as much as possible,
Right.
So, I mean, there's a lot of benefit to that if you have a successful brand. But for me, like, I got really carried away with printing, and I just wanted to learn everything I could so I could make anything I could, at any level of quality and like any type of design, whether it's a photograph or like a 6-color spot color design or a discharge print or water-based or whatever. And, so that's why I got into it, though, is to just learn how to do that. Now I know how to do everything. And I'm like, well, now I have like a functioning business that supports me, which is great.
So what's next, right?
But I'm like, I don't want to just be a printer the rest of my life,
Right.
So I've been thinking about like starting to promote a clothing line again. And I never really did in the first place. I kind of like attempted to for a little bit, but didn't get very far with that. And then, lately I've just been like wanting to get more involved in like passion projects again, which is like why I'm doing the podcast and the clothing stuff. But anyway, clothing. I do some photo shoots occasionally too. So
for sure,
if you ever want to like collaborate on a photo shoot, that'd be sweet.
Definitely would be down. Like I said, I'm gonna have a lot coming up in these next couple months, and hopefully go strong into 2020.
Yeah, man. Perfect Vision 2020. Coming to life.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Well,
all right.
Thanks for doing the podcast.
For sure. Thanks for having me. Yeah. I really enjoyed it. Now definitely saying yes to anyone else who's asking if I want to be on the podcast.
Yeah, dude. I think it's a great way for you to promote what you're doing too.
For sure.
Regardless.
And I'm pretty comfortable talking in front of people, so this is something I think I enjoy.
Good.
And I enjoy speaking to even just a camera that I know people are gonna be listening.
Yeah,
to.
I mean, you could even make a YouTube channel if you want, man. It's a good way to.
Yeah, YouTube's a cool. You seem like you use YouTube a lot, and it's pretty cool.
Dude, I feel like I'm just scratching the surface too. Like, I thought I was gonna have 10,000 subscribers like 5 years ago. So at this rate, I'll have 100K when I'm like 112. But like, hopefully I can.
Hey, 10K is more than most people, guys. So.
I know. I'm proud of it, but it's just. I really want to go like hard on YouTube. Yeah. Like I want to get like 1 million subs at some point.
For sure.
But I don't want to like get too ahead of myself and be like unreal about it. So
definitely.
Little by little. But
For sure.
dude, YouTube's a useful tool. So.
Well, thanks again, man.
Yeah, man. Please like and subscribe.
Yes. Food for thought.